Nolan Wells' mother lied.
It's gonna blow your mind at the reality that the family have not turned over Nolan's phone to investigators.
Nolan Wells' mother hasn't turned over Nolan's cell phone to the investigators yet?
I find it mighty curious how Nolan Wells' mother, Christine, is literally begging people to call into the hotline.
We are begging, if anyone knows anything, please call the hotline.
Nobody want to talk to y'all. Nobody wants to talk to Ben Crump.
Nolan Wells' mother didn't tell the truth.
Me and my family, we don't owe anybody anything.
Oh, but you do. You do.
Nolan is dead, and we're all seeking answers. Now, while the majority sympathizes with the family and pray they get the answers they seek, and for Nolan, the justice he deserves, some critics cannot help but point out some behavioral issues of his mother and certain fishy attitudes she's showing regarding the case, especially regarding Nolan's phone and why such an important piece of evidence is still in her possession.
A month into this, accusations of a crime will never be investigated because they will not turn it over to law enforcement. How are you going to present this to a grand jury and you claim that there's evidence of impropriety, criminal activity, tampering with evidence, deleting things from a phone is a crime? And the family is saying, and the family attorney is saying there's a crime that's committed, but they're unwilling to send the information to investigate, to make arrests in this case. It is blowing my mind.
I hope that's not true, because that doesn't make sense. And remember when Ben Crump said that they hired, Nolan Wells' family hired some like technical or technician that was going to pull apart Nolan's cell phone and find all the delete messages and all of the stuff that was on that phone? Why hasn't that happened yet? And why is it being said now and being reported that they've never turned his cell phone over? How does Nolan Wells' mother expect to find out what happened to her son if they're keeping a key piece of the evidence? Because why would he leave his cell phone on the boat, and why did he leave his keys on the boat? We understand why he left his keys on the boat, because he was in the water. And we did understand why he left the cell phone on the boat, because he was in the water. Do you go swimming with your phone in your pocket? You don't, right? Okay, so we've cleared that up. But now allegedly Christine, Nolan Wells' mother, has never turned the phone over to the investigators.
Critics accuse her of twisting the narrative. Early on, the family claimed data might have been deleted from Nolan's phone before they retrieved it. Yet the device has remained unexamined by the state police, leading some to question the validity of her accusations. Others also brought up the fact that she said she had to use 360 app to track Nolan's phone, and that no one told her about its whereabouts. However, Warren claims in an interview that he did call her and told her about the phone.
She lied. Nolan Wells' mother lied. You can say she bent the truth a little bit, whatever you want to say. She was not 100% honest. And you can cancel me or whatever you want to do. She was not 100% honest about the phone situation. Initially, Christine Wells said that she had to basically hunt Nolan Wells' phone down by using the 360 app. She said, and so did Ben Crump, that nobody offered up the fact that they had the phone. Now, since then, Warren has done an interview and he stated that he did tell the mom that he had the phone, that he called her around 11 o'clock. On this recent interview, she admits that Warren initiated the call to her and told her that Nolan stayed behind on the island. And so she said that while she was on the phone with him, she's searching the Life 360 app, and she tells him while she's on the phone that she can see that his phone is on land, and that's when Warren stated, oh, the phone is with me. But that's not how you said it happened, though. You made it seem like, you know, when you initially spoke to him, he never mentioned nothing about the phone. That contact had ceased, and you had to go and do research. So he told, yes, you went into the 360 app, but he told you while he was on the phone, yes, the phone is with me. Y'all made it seem like he never said nothing. Y'all looked through the app, then y'all had to show up, and they still was trying to act like they didn't have it. He told you that he had the phone. So I'm just like, why are we lying?
We get weird phone calls sometimes. They didn't leave a message. Number pops back up. I pick up the phone because it says maybe Warren. And I'm like, Warren? So this is 11:07. That's per my cell phone records. So I answer the phone. He's like, hey, Miss Christine. have you seen or talked to Nolan? I said, no. Why? He should be with you guys. And he said, oh no, well, you know, when we went to the island, there was a girl named Katie that he met and he had decided to stay behind. And I said, what? Because we know our child. And Nolan isn't one to be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna throw caution to the wind and I'm gonna stay here with this girl that I just met. So I'm on the phone with him. Now I'm in a panic. I'm running to my room. Elmore was in bed watching a different movie and I'm like frantic. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, no one is missing. I'm trying to pull up the GPS as I'm talking to him. And at some point he tells me that, I was like, well, you know, his phone says GPS Life 360, not Snapchat.
Right.
Life 360 says that he's on land. And he was like, well, no, I mean, you know, well, we have his phone. And I'm like, wait, what?
Nolan Wells' mother didn't tell the truth. On that talk show, she didn't tell the truth. She said that she didn't know Nolan Wells' friends, nor their parents, and that none of their parents reached out to her. And that's not true. There's a text message. I'm going to insert it in this video. Why would she lie about that? She said she didn't know the parents. She didn't know any of the parents. None of them reached out to her. So then you mean to tell me you were letting your son sleep at friends' houses that you didn't know the friends or the family or you didn't know any, you just letting your kid just sleep anywhere? And why did Nolan Wells' family hire a civil rights attorney when they found out what happened on Horn Island instead of a criminal defense attorney if they thought something shady happened, like some type of crime was committed? Why didn't they just hire a criminal defense attorney? Why did they call Ben Crump? And why did Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, why did he have to go all the way to Mississippi to Horn Island and interview Nolan's friends to find out what actually happened when Ben Crump's team didn't even do that? Meanwhile, they offered, between Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, they offered a $100,000 reward for anyone who knows anything. Well, no one's come forward because no one knows anything, because we all know the same thing. It was an accidental drowning, and both autopsies said that. And if Ben Crump was so invested in finding out what happened to Nolan Wells, why didn't Ben Crump interview his friends? Why, when Nolan Wells' friends reached out to Ben Crump, were none of their calls answered or returned? And why are people saying, well, then why did they wipe their socials and why did they lawyer up? They wiped their socials and they lawyered up because they were getting death threats and they were being doxxed. That's why they lawyered up. You do the same thing. Because that's what it looks like. And for all of the Black people who are trying to condemn these white boys for something that they clearly didn't do, why are you doing that? Because that's division and that's racism.
Then comes her public demeanor. In true crime spaces, viewers are heavily scrutinizing how Christine carries herself. Critics point out that during major press appearances, she rarely shed tears on camera. And even if she does, it looks more performative than genuine. On top of that, social media users have flagged what they call glam moments on her personal and professional platforms, posting highly polished content while simultaneously presenting herself as a completely incapacitated grieving mother. For many onlookers, the math isn't adding up.
Me and my family, we don't owe anybody anything.
Oh, but you do. You do. You can't come out to the world and beg the world for money and to have your back and help you and do all the things for you and with you, and then turn around and say you don't owe anybody anything. You do. You went on a grand tour of bashing the fuck out of these friends of your sons and was pushing racism the whole fucking way.
The only thing we did initially, we just asked a question. We asked, what happened to Nolan?
You weren't just asking a question of what happened to Nolan. You wasn't. You chose to make it to a fucking circus. You and Benny Boy. Y'all made it into a fucking Barnum and Bailey's motherfucking show. Stop with the playing innocent shit. Shit is fucking hilarious. You're a horrible actress.
I would recommend you stop because the hate is showing. If you're not giving uplifting, encouraging words to me and my family, then just stop. Like, you don't have to leave negative, nasty comments.
Oh, so you feel that you should not ever leave nasty, negative comments to people that are grieving, which I agree. And you shouldn't tell people how they should grieve and do other things. But you have literally went on tour to do exactly this shit to a big group of your son's good friends. Good friends. You've made it your personal business to go on a fucking tour like Chris Brown to push these folks in the fucking dirt. Run them straight the fuck down. Completely unwelcome them from the funeral of their dear friend. And now you want people to stop? You are the queen of fucking negativity and accusations. It's the audacity at this point, bitch. Your balls must be the size of my motherfucking head. I fucking can't.
You don't have to try to create AI videos. You don't have to do that.
And now that people are doing it to you, it just has to stop. It just has to stop. But you weren't saying that to all the people that you have encouraged, basically, to do to the boys. You have 100% encouraged hate and accusations to Nolan's good friends. You and Benny Boy. I don't even mention your husband much because, I mean, like, who the fuck is he at this point? Does he still sell rides on the fucking, what do they call them, them 3-wheel things? Like, what is he? I don't even care. It doesn't matter. He's irrelevant. But, yeah, you don't get to tell people what the fuck to do or how to feel. I guess only if it's convenient for you, or if they're sending death threats to Nolan's good fucking friends. You have the fucking audacity, ma'am.
Like, you literally don't have to do that. Like, it's just wild. And I have to laugh sometimes to get through this pain.
And I've said it once and I'll say it again. You're a horrible fucking actress. A horrible actress. Nobody's tried to tell you how to fuck to grieve. You just don't.
However, supporters argue that everyone processes grieving differently, and her skepticism of law enforcement is entirely justified, given how fast the sheriff ruled out foul play in Nolan's case.
Do you know where Nolan's phone is? Anybody? Can
Today?
anybody tell me where Nolan's phone is?
Good question. Right now, as we sit here today.
Has it ever been turned over to authorities?
No, it has not.
You're sure?
Yeah, I believe that Ben Crump, using local counsel, sent a letter out just last night, gave it to Don Lemon on his show, and Don Lemon on his show confirmed that they have not given the phone to investigators.
Well, that's on investigators, because they need to get the phone, and they need to look at it.
Let me just say this. Now, why? They told you from the beginning, after the sheriff came out and said that they weren't looking at any foul play. We don't know if there's any foul play, but there weren't, that it was accidental. And they don't trust the investigators. So why would they just hand a phone over? I don't get the entire consternation about this phone. If I did not trust the investigators or law enforcement to do the job that they're supposed to do, I'm not just handing something over to them. And the other thing is that I was going to wait till all of this is done. Is this woman on trial or something? She's not on trial for murder. So why are they attacking her? Why aren't they attacking the investigators? As Nancy said, that's on the prosecutors. Why aren't they posing that question to the prosecutors? Why aren't they asking the people Ledbetter what is going on with the phone? Maybe behind the scenes they are asking, but why are you out here putting this mother, who one of the most horrific things to happen to a mother is to lose her son, why are you putting her on blast? For whatever reason she hasn't given over the phone. Why are you doing that? It's not a good look. Who raised y'all? And the kids as well. Who raised that kid that said if it wasn't for the mom? Like, are you kidding me? You were 18, 19 years old. Put some respect on her name.
According to Nolan's family, they're holding onto the phone for a couple of reasons. They argue that as soon as Nolan's body was found, the local sheriff publicly said that there was no reason to suspect foul play. The family felt like the police gave up immediately without doing a real investigation. Nolan's parents say the police kept them in the dark. The parents had to constantly call the police department themselves just to get basic updates. This made the family feel like the police didn't care about finding the truth. The family paid for an independent autopsy. However, the state authority kept Nolan's internal throat structure without any explanation. While the officials said this is normal rules, it stopped the family's doctor from finding the exact cause of death. This made the family highly suspicious. The family wants the phone examined, but they do not trust local police to examine it alone. They fear the police might delete change or leak private data. They're holding the phone until the state signs a legal agreement. This agreement must promise that the family's own experts can be present during the phone's examination. The district attorney recently gave the family a strict 48-hour deadline to hand over the phone, but the family was traveling out of the state at the time. The family's lawyer called this, quote, a bad faith trick to make the mother look guilty to the public.
It looks like the DA, Angel Myers McElrath, just dropped the reverse Uno card. Let's get into it. It was a 2-page letter, and here's what it says. I'm going to go down to the 4th paragraph. It says, first, the date and time you proposed provided less than 48 hours notice. Moreover, the Wonsleys were outside Mississippi when your letter was sent and are not scheduled to return until after the deadline you unilaterally imposed. Okay, so please pay attention. Second, the parties never agreed to simply deliver the phone to your office. Instead, the agreement was that we would set a mutually agreeable date and time for the phone to be examined together by your office's forensic professionals, our forensic professionals, okay? And they even said possibly the FBI as well. Third, the parties have not yet agreed upon a forensic protocol addressing at a minimum the scope and method of the examination, chain of custody, preservation of the forensic extraction, access to resulting forensic data, and treatment of information outside of the agreed scope, retention of the extraction, and return of the device. We're prepared to promptly address those logistics so that the examination can proceed while preserving the integrity of the investigation.
Now, let's put this in perspective real quick. It's not an excuse to say, well, we don't trust the justice system to give his phone to them to do a forensic investigation. Well, then what you're saying is that you're not willing to accept anything that they're gonna say. This is par for the course, in my opinion, with Benjamin Crump. No criminal justice, only payouts and money grab. It appears to me that they only want lawsuits against these boys, wrongful death suits, and money. It's not finding out what happened to Nolan.
I find it mighty curious how Nolan Wells' mother, Christine, is literally begging people to call into the hotline.
We are begging, if anyone knows anything, please call the hotline.
Nobody want to talk to y'all. Nobody wants to talk to Ben Crump. That's why people are mad at Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum is getting the interviews. Officer Tatum is being fed information by the public, and he's turning it over to law enforcement.
It's highly plausible Officer Tatum has a lot of information Crump and his team do not have, and they don't like it. So in turn, because they're messy as F, they will continue to insinuate Mississippi law enforcement is corrupt and they're not properly investigating the case of Nolan Wells, when we all know this is an active investigation.
Because of all this, the family has bypassed local police completely. They are now asking the FBI and federal government to take over the case. That's all for today. Let me know your thoughts. Also, watch how the game destroyed its own reputation. Click the video on the screen.